For anyone who may not know me, my name is Rodney. I've been working at Seamless for nearly 2 years. I'm the Communications and Community Engagement Officer here. So anything to do with communications, letting you guys know what we've been up to, providing newsletters, emails, support materials, all of that kind of stuff, and of course the user groups. I was one of the main people putting together all the user group materials, which was a lot of fun. And if you haven't come across me before, my name's Rodney. If this is the first time you've heard from me, it's very nice to have your company, and I'm going to be going through today some materials from all three of our product lines, as well as catching you up to date a little bit on what we've been doing. So just going to check that all of the, I'm going to check that you guys are seeing the right stuff. Great. You should be now seeing the agenda for today. Again, we're going to do a quick introduction, what Seamless has been up to for the last year since the last user group, which was, I'm pretty sure it was in May last year. A little bit about Open Cities. For those of you who aren't using Open Cities at the moment, you may be a Seamless CMS customer instead. I think there's going to be a lot of ideas and a lot of development happening in Open Cities that may interest you guys, may spark some ideas for you guys, things that you want for your own websites and whatnot. If we've got time, we're going to take a quick short break there, I think, because I want to give people a chance to grab some water, stretch their legs, whatever. After that, we're going to kick into Seamless CMS, talk about what's happening with Seamless CMS, and we're going to finish with Open Forms. I understand some people may be using Open Forms, may be curious about it, maybe never even heard of it, but we're going to talk a bit about what's been going on with Open Forms as well as the main CMS products that we have. So by way of introduction, I wanted to start by mentioning the Seamless Benchmark Report, which we put out late last year. It's actually branded as Open Cities for a reason that I'll get to in a minute. The report is called Building Better Council Websites, a National Benchmarking Report. And some of you will remember we've done benchmarking reports before, but they were a few years ago, they're a little bit out of date, and we know that this sector, this industry moves so fast that we needed some up-to-date information. So what you can see on the screen here is the first three reports we did. The central one is for Australia, the one on the right is for New Zealand. So between Australia and New Zealand, we actually rated and audited and benchmarked over 600 websites. So we have a pretty good idea at the moment of the state of play within Australia and New Zealand of local government, digital local government, what we're doing well, what we could do better. On the left-hand side here is the US version of the report where we rated 3,000 US city websites. So we did the exact same analysis for Australia, New Zealand and the US. Coming up very, very soon, we'll be launching a US county report. So rather than looking at cities, we're looking at counties to see what the differences are. Another 2,000 county websites, and the next one after that will be Canada. So we'll be doing 400 websites in Canada. So in total, we will have rated over 6,000 local government websites across all these countries. We're going to have a pretty good idea of what's going on in digital local government space in all of these countries. But for those of you who may not have had a chance yet to see the report, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what the report covers. Essentially, we picked 8 key criteria. So top tasks is the first one, and if you've been involved with Seamless for any length of time, you would have heard us talk about top tasks. Super important way to bring the most important things that people want to use front and center on their website. Obviously, search is another one. Unbelievably, some websites still don't even have a search, let alone a very good one. Content readability, something a little bit new for us. Trying to work out what education level is required to understand and comprehend the content of your website. So we understand that sometimes cities and councils and municipalities will need to use jargon or complicated language to get the precision that they need when communicating urgent information to people. But understanding that the communication that's around that could be improved by improving the readability of it, by making it simpler, using smaller, simple, direct language, could improve how people actually use your website. And so until we know what the readability level of all the websites is, we can't really say whether we're doing well or we need to improve. Mobile readiness should be fairly self-explanatory. How well does the website work on a mobile phone or a tablet? Page load speed, how quickly is the site in general? Accessibility, obviously we're huge on accessibility here. So we wanted to run some tests on all these websites to see how accessible they were, how many errors there were, and what might be a good performing website versus a website that hasn't made any effort. And I can tell you that there's a stark difference between websites that have or haven't made any effort in the accessibility space. Privacy, so this is also a bit of a new one, and it was a real eye-opener for us. Privacy is SSL encryption. So you might have seen if you visit a website, it has HTTPS at the start of it. Sometimes it'll have a little padlock as well. That's a sign that all the traffic going to and from this website is encrypted. I'll get to why that's important a little bit later as well. And finally, SEO, that's search engine optimization. So how well is the website set up to have all of the information and services on the website be discoverable in search engines like Google? So one of the things that we found with SEO was that maybe if someone types in your city name or your council name into the Google, you may come up as the first result. However, you may want to make sure that when someone types in hall hire or park hire, something like that, that yours comes up above all of those private industries that are actually trying to play the system and get ahead of you in Google searches. So having good SEO is another one of the important criteria for the benchmark that we wanted to look at. So to get to a couple of the results, starting with search, 95% of councils that we found in Australia and New Zealand featured some kind of search on the website. So that means obviously 5% don't. But there's also a good percentage of them that have predictive search, which is what pretty much all of our websites have. As someone's typing in, you can start seeing results. So we're confident in saying that we're doing search right. We could always do better, but this is an area that we're doing fairly well and it's working for people. 2/3 of councils in ANZ received a passing grade for SEO optimization. So by and large, the general principles of best practice for SEO are being adhered to. Again, there's a little bit of room for improvement there, but not too bad. Moving on to what's not working so well, privacy was the main one that we found, where only 86% of councils had no or very weak SSL encryption. So what this sort of means is that websites are now becoming more transactional and they're becoming more active rather than passive in terms of service delivery. So whether you're accepting a payment or whether you're just collecting people's details, you may be asking someone for their name or their email address, their home address, their phone number, very personal private details that they don't want anybody capturing. If you do not have SSL encryption on your website, there's always a chance that that data could be intercepted by a third party. So SSL encryption goes a long way to correcting that. The other issue here is that it's really important to understand that SSL encryption is not a binary thing. It's not a have or have not thing. There's actually grades of security, grades of strength, I guess. And what we found was that some of the websites had a very, very weak degree of encryption. It's almost like they ticked the box. I just want some encryption, put something on the site. The problem with that is that it could lure people into a false sense of security and they may be encouraged to give you their details when, if the site wasn't encrypted at all, they may not do so. But if the encryption is so weak that it's as good as having none, then you actually would be better off to not have any, because then people could at least be wary. So 86% of councils have no encryption or so weak that they may as well have none. And it'd actually be better if they didn't have it. 86%, so a huge number. The other item on this slide is content readability. Only 8% of website content is simple enough for the average Australian to understand. This is, again, about reading level. So we have a mixed population in Australia with, education, also age. A lot of the elderly people in the communities don't have the same readability level and comprehension level that they maybe used to have in their youth. So whether you actually went to university or finished high school, or you're just becoming elderly, or your vision is poor, having good content readability is always going to improve comprehension of content and services on your websites. So this is a new area for us. We're obviously looking into ways that we could potentially help you guys with this, with some tools. But in the meantime, what I might do actually is follow up with a good tool which can help you guys just get an idea of how you could improve your copy, how you can improve web content in this area. A quick factoid. Did you know that most people visit council websites on a mobile phone during peak hours between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. or 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Way more mobile traffic than desktop traffic. So this is specifically mobile phones. It's one of those peculiar things where we realize people are in transit, or it's first thing in the morning. They don't even want to boot up their computer. They just want to pull out their phone and visit a council website, the same as they would any other website. This was one of the discoveries that we made when we actually created this, which is one of our new tools, an analytics dashboard. The one I'm showing you here is actually a standalone dashboard which will show the analytics for your website. I don't know if anyone on the call or in the session today has one of these, but if you don't, these are completely free. I can set one up for you, and feel free to follow up with me after the session if you want one. All it does basically is take all of the traffic from your website but bring it to life in a really meaningful way. So it'll show the traffic pattern for the last 48 hours, as well as a breakdown between desktop traffic, mobile traffic, and tablet traffic. And you can see, if anyone does this, you'll see for yourself. First thing in the morning, last thing at night, it can be up to 2 or 3 times more traffic on a mobile phone than on a desktop. So when we say that being mobile ready is important, this is one of the reasons why, because people doing this first thing in the morning are distracted, they're trying to get their kids ready for school, they've got a coffee in one hand, newspaper in the other, whatever. Making services easy to complete for those kind of people is so important. Other things that the dashboard though will show is the number of people on the website at the moment, how much time they've actually spent as a collective on the website getting information or serving themselves, as well as just a live flow of traffic pages. So these columns in the bottom section here will actually show you as someone hits the website, it'll pop up and it'll show you visually that someone's hit a page, what page it was, what device they were on, and how long ago it was, as well as more popular pages. So something might suddenly spike for whatever reason. Maybe it was mentioned on the news or in the radio or in a newsletter or a community board, something like that. And some service or page that you have may suddenly spike in popularity, and this will show all on the dashboard. So this is really good for generating good stories around the council. You could share this link around, send it to the CEO, send it to your business units and say, hey, you guys are really popular right now, isn't it great? It really brings to life the activity of the website. It shows your website as a more active thing. Kind of like the way that if you had 20 people on your website versus having 20 people waiting in your customer service center, it would be something you want to know about. The next thing I want to talk about, following on from that, is the cost of service delivery per channel. These are obviously in AUD, but we've talked about this kind of thing before. These are figures that have come from Deloitte only a year and a half ago. And it kind of, the point we're trying to make with this, by showing you all this, is the savings that can be made by channel shifting from face-to-face customer service to either telephone, but particularly online. So Deloitte worked out that face-to-face customer service delivery per request, $16.90, telephone $6.60 per request, and online only 40 cents. So one of the themes of today is going to be talking about the benefit of channel shifting from face-to-face customer service to online customer service. I know this is something everybody wants to do. I think that perhaps there's an appetite for learning how to do this, learning the strategies, and understanding the tools for doing this. It's going to be one of the underlying themes of today, as well as a few other things. But when we say that we think this is important, I think these numbers really speak to that point, and hopefully it'll make the point for you guys as well that this is a big benefit and there's a huge potential here for channel shift. One of the other things from the Deloitte figures was the predicted channel volume, so the shift of transactions in future. So obviously you can see here, negative 50% or roughly in face-to-face transactions, a reduction of half. Telephone about the same, a reduction of half of the number of requests coming through to council or government by telephone, and they're all going to online, 75% increase in online transactions. So this is also assuming that the number of transactions will remain the same, but I think we all probably know that there's a big chance that the number of transactions coming through digitally in future is going to actually increase. So this gives us a bit of a start. It's somewhere that we can work from, but we know that the number of face-to-face and telephone transactions is going to reduce. The number of online transactions is going to improve. It's going to boost, probably even going to be a lot more than this 75%. But getting it right and doing it now, starting now, preparing now, thinking of it as a digital-first approach is going to pay off for everybody down the line. The next point we're going to be talking about is Open Cities. So I'll just switch over to the Open Cities presentation. Give me one moment and I'll get started into that.